We're live, like for real.
Word.
All right, man. What's up,
Yeah.
everyone, man? Welcome. Let's Talk Games podcast. We've gotten a few requests. It's been a long time. I don't know what year we actually last did one of these.
It was more than little bit more than 3 years ago.
Was it 20? Did we have did we do a show in 2023?
I do not.
Probably
think
not,
so.
right? 2022
No.
or 21. I know we were on it heavy during the early stages of Xbox Series and PS5.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, and that was like pre-COVID though.
Nah, that was it was because it came
was
out
like
during COVID.
coming in. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So 2021, and I don't know how many episodes we got. I'll probably look in the archive to see where we're at. But man, this, no promotion, no announcement, just going live. It's me and Sir Dre, the great. We've done this show for a little bit. It started. I think it started after we both. What game did we beat? I think it was. Oh my god! It was a game by Ubisoft, man. Oh my god! Remember, it came out in like December. It was a sleeper though.
Was that
we both liked it?
What was that mythical game?
Yes. It came 2021. It came out after like Valhalla. It was like Breath of the Wild for some reason, but it was just a little bit more enjoyable. But why can't I think of a freaking?
I'm drawing a blank. What was that?
Why can't I think of a freaking name, bro? It was a good ass game.
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank, but yeah.
That was the game
what you're talking about, though.
I remember we were talking. I don't know if you called me or I called you, and I'm just like, yo, bro, what did you do? Like, and we just started talking about it, and then I was like, we can definitely talk games at like a high level, and it's embarrassing, right? That this game is not like, and it was definitely like my favorite game of 2021. And I keep thinking of it.
Yeah, Immortals Phoenix Rising.
Immortals Phoenix Rising, bro. Thank you guys, yo. Nakia Yedu, yeah. Immortals Phoenix Rising was literally my sleeper game. It was my favorite game of 2021. The reason why it wasn't my quote unquote game of the year because it came out like so late, and I've already like rendered. And it wasn't 2021. That was 2020. I already rendered, like I already gave credit to like, I think The Last of Us 2. I think part 2 is that summer. It was like, all right, whatever. It was, Valhalla was a great game, but I ultimately end up enjoying the hell out of Immortals Phoenix Rising, and that made Ubisoft my favorite. Ubisoft became my favorite publisher after that game because all I liked from Ubisoft at that time was like Assassin RPG. So like, that's all I liked from them in the recent history. And then they hit me with the Immortals. Then Far Cry 6 was a banger. And I was like, all right, you guys, we're good. So
is Ubisoft still high on that list for you?
Unfortunately, like I'm trying to think. Yeah, actually, you know why? Because I love Star Wars Outlaws.
Yeah, I did too.
I love that game. I thought it was dope. It was one of my favorite games that year. You know what I mean? It could have been better. They did a lot of improvements to it, like after it launched. But I was digging it, and I felt very impressed by that game. I think, and then now just to give you a heads up though, I didn't complete Shadows yet.
You know what? that's why I brought this up, because I didn't complete Shadows yet either, and I ain't gonna hold you. I don't know if I'm that. It's just not resonating with me.
Yeah,
I don't know what Ubisoft did, because I love Assassin's Creed, man. Like I platinum Origins, Valhalla, and damn near Odyssey, but like I love the previous 3 games that they came out with, but it's just something with Shadows. I cannot finish that game, man. Like I don't know what it is either, because they didn't really stray away from the formula. So I don't. I just for right now it is in the deep backlog, but
yeah, man, and those crazy.
I hope
bro.
I finish it.
Me, I'm right there with you because it's like I feel like I owe it. I feel like I owe it to myself and to the fandom in me, right? Like I got to do this one, but it wasn't. It just wasn't sticking with me. It's like all right, I dig with the opening and the factor. I think what turned me off is that I'm playing a game and it's like they try to change up the combat a little bit and I don't like that it feels from a combat sense. I don't like that it doesn't feel like Assassin's Creed, and I got to retrain myself to play the game, and I feel like it wants to be more like those other games. And they excel with their their visuals and the world around you, and looks great. Like nothing against what the game looks like. It's just like, man, I'm not really having fun. And the thing is, you get wrapped up in this whole like story, and I realized, dude, I stopped at like maybe, I don't know how many hours in, but I was like, dude, I'm still with the first character. I haven't outside of the intro of the game. I'm still on Naoki or Naomi. What's her name? Nioki or something.
Something like that.
Yeah, but I was like, when do I? And I think I prefer. I don't know, but I assume I prefer her playstyle because she feels more a little bit nimble, more like an assassin, and the other guy is like a very brute. So I was like, but I'm like, I feel like I'm not progressing at all because of how like I feel like I put all these hours in and I still haven't seen him actually break through outside of the prologue.
Yeah, what's funny? Like I think for me, like they took a couple things out of the game that makes it not feel like how you can like hide in plain sight or sit on a bench and hide in plain sight. Like they took like I haven't been able to do that. I don't know if it's like in the later of the game or if somebody else if it's in the game, but I haven't been able to do that. I'm like, that's a key mechanic in the game. Like to hide in plain sight or to walk in the crowds and assassinate and stuff like that. So they took that out. I don't like that there's so many goddamn trees in the game where you can't take shortcuts. That annoys me.
Yeah.
That might be nitpicking, but that just bugs the crap out of me. But and the story just is not connecting with me.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the mission structure. Of like
sending out the scouts.
Sending out the scouts. The maps get overly convoluted. It's like, all right, where do I start? What do I follow? And then believe it or not, and I know they've introduced this in and I forget where it get introduced. I don't know if it was Valhalla or Odyssey where they try to introduce the base building. I've never been a fan of building a colony. It's like it was the least part of that was the least part of Assassin's Creed that I did. Like that was the least amount of things I did in Valhalla. It's like I'll do whatever they required me to do to get through the game, but I never entertained it beyond that. You know what I mean? And you know how they want you to build up your huts, your training grounds, and all this other stuff. And I'm like, oh, come on, man. Like I kind of just want to go and go do these missions, kill a bunch of people in these different locales and see how the story progresses, but they still put in all this all the busy work. I don't know, I still plan to try to go. I'm gonna go back. I got something to tell you, but I just want to see how things been going with you from a gaming side to tell you where I kind of landed. So let's what game are you playing now?
Well, right now I'm playing it's weird this too because for some reason, and it's odd, I got FOMO from not playing Death Stranding 2 because the game, it looks pretty good to me.
Yeah, it looked awesome. Yeah.
But I say it's weird because I don't play Kojima games like that. So it's not like I'm this big fan of his games of Metal Gear and all that stuff. But I got FOMO of Death Stranding 2. So I'm actually playing Death Stranding 1 right now. I played it on PlayStation, but it was one of them things where I was like, I'm just going to play it, and I really didn't pay attention to the story and whatnot. So playing it now, I'm actually paying attention and kind of understanding what's going on. and it's like it's kind of catching me off guard with the themes that they got and how BBs are taken away from their spoilers, taken away from their dead mom and shit like that, and put in this cocoon to make it still represent like they're still in the womb and stuff like that. And I finally understand what the beach is about, and I understand what the BTs are about and things of that nature. So it's really like on the surface, yes, it's still of course we all know it's that package simulator delivering packages, but in the grand scheme of things, it's a really twisted and kind of deep game, and I'm actually really enjoying it. And so that's what I've been playing. That's what I'm playing now. But previously, before this, I played South of Midnight.
Yeah, that's what I got on the screen.
And that the stories in that game, I was like, whoa. Yeah. It's two in particular. I was like,
yeah, you know what? It's a safe space. I bet one of them is the little brother.
Yes, yep. The one, and that made me so sad because having myself having a kid that's different from, you know, quote unquote normal folk, that made me really that kind of hit me hard right there. And then the one with the story with the grandmother, I was like, whoa. I was like, because of course, you know, she's the evil person, right? And the antagonist. But then you get her backstory with the chick's dad. And he was a little kid, and I was like, yo. So I really enjoyed South of Midnight. It was I think I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. The combat is whatever.
It's passable. I think they needed something to the thing is that they had this great story, and this the art style was great, and but they needed to be, because this is something that you will typically find in what you would call are like walking simulators, puzzle platform, sort of these stories. They you know strayed away from that and put it into a conventional game, and that might have hurt it. But the thing is, I appreciated it. You know what I mean? Because the thing is, I wanted some sort of like combat. So like I said, it may not be everyone's cup of tea, but it worked. I think it's weird because I feel like this game had like so many, like the stories were great, all of them leading up to the eventual boss of the area. The only thing that was a down point was like the final boss. I was like, really? Yeah, I couldn't close this out. At that point, if you weren't sure what to do with the final, then I would have took one of those other people and made them the final. You know what I mean?
Boss,
yes. They could have easily took one of those, because the bosses leading up to like through your whole progress, they were actually dope. Like Two-Toe Tom and the freaking that dude that loses his mind, he loses his temper, turns into the owl. And didn't know the craziest one was that the Spider Woman.
Yes. Because you think she's something that's
I had all sorts of shit running through my mind. And I was like, what they? Because they were already playing with like, you know, themes, right? So I was like, all right, so they taking it there. Like this is like, you know what I mean. So I was, but then you come to realize, you know, she was actually, you know, a good person. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I thought you know, they deserve there's some credit. If you haven't played South of Midnight, like.
Play
it. It's like it's a decent game. It's really, the story is really like there. They nailed the story.
Even the I even like the music, because the music was tying in with what was happening. So
no, you're right. I almost forgot about that, right? Because I was all right. The this is pretty the tree, right? Where you're climbing up the tree and they're pretty much summarizing his story as you're making your way up the tree. He got lost in the tree. Like, you know what I mean? It was just like I was just like playing it like, yo, I need to like relax and maybe go pray. Like after I play this, like because it does tug at you, and it's an emotional game.
It is,
yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was about to say I hope they get a sequel, but I don't. How
it's
do
hard.
You how do you pull a sequel out of that? But
I think a sequel will be more so just based off. You know how like something was like so good, it was like, well, you got to do a follow up, right? But it was never intended to do that, but they do it and it kind of ruin it. Like the thing is, people would want a sequel because they would want to see, you know, the improvements like improve, right? But when you think about it, the story, they like, you know what I mean, her story is resolved. Now she's got to go and go through different, you know, towns and resolve other people's stories that's just along the way. I don't know how deep it gets. I don't know how many. I don't think she has any like loose ends like left. I mean, I would appreciate some, some DLC and some quality of life improvements. You know, definitely due to play the game again because I only got like 50% of the achievements. This is, something I can easily go back and do, and try to get the.
I even liked Hazel's story with her mom. I thought that was pretty.
Yeah,
that was a nice dynamic. So yeah, really good game. South of Midnight. If you haven't played it, get Game Pass. If if you got a PC, it's $1 for 14 days. So
they still doing those dollar deals, man.
Yeah, I'm on it right now. That's how I played it.
Question for you: Did you play Avowed?
I started Avowed, but I dropped. Unfortunately, I did drop Avowed. It just wasn't clicking with me.
It wasn't clicking. You know what? Yeah. I liked it. But I think I knew I would like it. Because it was something. I think it was something that I was missing. It was something that I was missing in my catalog game, and I've been looking for it. I mean, I wish it did better than what it did. It could have been, obviously, better, but I did it. I did enjoy it. I really did. I'm trying to think.
Did you like that? If you had to choose between that and what's their other game? Outer Worlds. Mm-hmm. Which one you rocking with?
Like Outer Worlds 1 or just Avowed, or are we referring to Outer Worlds 2?
No, just one, since that's the only one we've played. I love Outer Worlds. So
I did. You know what? The crazy thing about Outer Worlds, I was not anticipating it at all. I just happened when Outer Worlds came out and I decided I was gonna play it. It was on Game Pass, right? Day one. And I was like, I'll give it a try. I was skeptical because I was like, all right, people saying this is like, Obsidian's like Fallout, so I'm probably not gonna like it. But I ended up liking it. You know what I mean? It drew me in, and I didn't anticipate for it to do that. And when I got through that game, it gave me confidence that I could play, other types of games. And so, and that actually led me to be anticipating Avowed, because I was like, all right, if Avowed is essentially just like a fantasy version of this game, if you think about it, obviously, the world is different, but if they could deliver a similar type story, but just in a different type of world, like your Elder Scrolls world, and they gave us a third person option and whatnot. The recency bias, man. Because I really do like Avowed. Outer Worlds was more my cup of tea because you're shooting. You know what I mean? So it's easier to go through. And I'm really, the crazy thing is I loved Outer Worlds 1. I enjoyed Avowed. For me, Obsidian in their games, for the ones that I like, outside of Pentiment and Grounded, they're 2 for 2. I'm more excited for Outer Worlds 2 because of Outer Worlds 1 and Avowed. So, but I would say probably Outer Worlds, because I think Outer Worlds was like up there in my top 3 for game of the year. Game of the year for me, because that year 2019, that was Gears 5, that was Outer Worlds, and I think Shadow of the Tomb Raider was probably that year too, and that was one of my favorite games too. But right now I've been cycling through a couple of games, and I'm having trouble committing to one. Like I've been playing Doom, the Dark Ages. It's so.
That's the sentiment that I've read.
Yeah,
like online. It's because I played Eternal. I thought Eternal was fire.
Yeah. And that's the thing. A lot of people who like Eternal don't like this one.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So,
I'm trying to think. There was that. I've tried. There's a couple games that I've been trying to play, but I just haven't been able to get hooked. And I'm gonna tell you something, right? The last game that I played, I'll tell you this. I've been playing around with Doom. I've been playing a little bit at a time. I started the Altars, and I'm probably going to drop that for good. It's a good concept. I have no problem with it, but I don't like management sims. Splitgate 2, I was playing that a little bit because I was just trying to get like some sort of multiplayer kick. The last game I played, right, in beat was Clear Obscure Expedition 33.
Beat that too.
And
let's talk about that, man. Because let's talk about that real quick. Because some people, I'm not on Twitter, but if
it's ready, you miss. I don't know how you're not on X.
It's so funny because YouTube comments and when I was back on Twitter, they are like one and the same. So of course, I watch YouTube videos and read the comments and whatnot, and like I like the game. Okay, I like the game. I like the story. We're gonna talk about that because I don't think there's people making the story something more than what it is. But I want to hear your thoughts on that. Of course, the combat is great with your real time parrying and dodging and whatnot. But if people calling it the game of the generation, I don't know about that one. I don't know about that one. It's a great game, and I understand it was made by 33 people, and one sentiment of people talking about, now they're showing AAA devs, how to make. I'm like, come on, really? No. The thing is that you guys are comparing this game to bad AAA games. You compare it to a good AAA game. No. But I want to hear your thoughts on. I want to have a dialogue on this game because, again, I like the game, but I don't think it's what people are making it out to be.
Yeah. Nah, I'm one of those people that that saying this game to the high heaven. But the thing is, you gotta think where I come from. You know better like how stubborn I was to any a lot of games. I don't just jump on genre, especially turn based. You know what I mean? I would. So the thing is that
hold real quick before you go. So you don't like turn based?
No.
Okay, so play. Okay, because I wasn't a big turn-based guy either. Play Dragon Quest 11, and then I think that's what got me into really liking turn-based games. If you ain't got to play, but if you happen to play that, if you have have some spare time, play that, and then that might change your mind about turn-based games.
Okay,
carry on.
Yeah, I mean, I've played a couple, but I've just never been you know what I mean. I think the last one I could claim was Paper Mario: 1,000 Year Door, because that was I was like, okay, I really like that, but that didn't make me interested in turn-based RPG games. I re-dipped my foot in, you know what I mean, because when Persona finally came to Xbox, Persona 5, obviously I played it. I didn't finish it. I think I got to they named them palaces, right? I got to the third palace. And I ended up putting a game down at that point because I started getting review access to certain games. I think Wolong Fallen Dynasty was one of them, and a few games came after that. But I will say I was enjoying Persona 5 once I was learning the meta of the game, the cycle and everything. I just didn't like the whole school crap and game because I feel like it dragged the game out. But once I got into the combat and I knew what I was doing or how to play it, I was able to get through the game, and I was like, okay, I can actually play through this.
Okay, got you.
Now, Expedition 33, right? Obviously, I have some biased interest in it because it showed up on Xbox Showcase. It's going in Game Pass, and I know it looks graphically amazing. Right now,
it looks okay.
When I was seeing the game, I was like, well, yeah, I'm definitely gonna give it a try, but I didn't have no confidence in that. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna see this game through. Right? I thought it was gonna be one of those things like, let me play it, show a few screenshots, and then put it down because I really don't mess with those games. Once I got in, and you get through that opening part, and you get to the island, and you see how they just open up the shit for you.
Yeah, that was dope. That was dope.
Oh, yeah. I kind of got to see how this shit. If he's going and Thanosing people like that's crazy. So, but once I got it, man, it's just I don't. Again, maybe it's because I'm not like I'm not privy to all these type of games, so I just felt like, they just gave me a new way to play turn-based RPGs, and I don't think I can. The thing is, it was. I feel like their formula was so good that I don't think it would translate to me just playing turn-based RPGs now. I feel like they have to have. The thing is, because the one thing about turn-based RPGs, I don't like you go, I go. You might do something that take out my entire squad, and I can't figure that. Like, that irks me. Now, the fact when you tell me I can dodge and parry and jump in real time, and I can actually defend myself from a move, potentially and change the outcome of a battle based off something I can do in real time. I know they tell me it's not new, but it was new to me, right?
Yeah, so that makes sense.
It added, believe it or not, right? It's the same thing with like Souls game, right? It added like this level of like Soulsness to it, and I don't know how they did it, because I was getting that type of vibe going through these battles where I was like, I'm going through these fights, learning patterns, knowing when to dodge, knowing when to parry, learning what pictos and all this other stuff to put on my character to get the best outcome or the best possible. It was like rock, paper, scissors. Like, okay, gotta do this to get this person to do that, to get this person to do that, and then this should landed, right? It was just the formula of the game I fell in love with. And it's one thing the game have a formula, right? A gameplay that people can like. The story was really good. It was real. I was like, wait a minute. So I had two things. I had the gameplay formula that I really like, and I was getting a hang of it. And if I play something that I normally don't play, and I start to get the hang of it, and I feel like I'm good at it, then it's going to encourage me to play more. You got the story, which keeps me wanting to know, all right, what's going on? Who's this person? How does this connect? And then the one thing I don't pay attention to in video games, outside, we talked about it a little bit with South of Midnight. The music.
Oh, the music is awesome.
I'm like,
oh yeah.
I'm like, yo.
Yeah.
Yo, like I was singing the theme song, oh my God, for like 2 weeks straight.
Yeah. The music is so good that I actually play the OST, like, when I'm out and about, that music is fantastic, especially the world map like theme OST. Oh my gosh, that is fantastic. So yeah, I agree with you on that. The music is awesome.
And bro, I will break something down to you before I let you go. I will break something. This is the reason why it takes the kick, right? This game, it hit all the metrics: story, gameplay, graphics, OST, like, and it was able to get me to play a genre I typically don't look at and see it through to the end, right?
Yeah,
that's a feat, right? It's like the first time when I breaking through a Souls game, like, whoa. I would, before beating one, I was like, F that. I won't even try. But now I at least got to give them a try, and I now end up finding one that I'll stick with. One thing that did it, bro, it was first game to make me ugly cry since maybe Life is Strange. I think was the last game that made me do that.
I did see that picture.
Yeah, I was like, I felt like at the end of the game, it felt like how I felt when after I finished watching like the Good Will Hunting and The Color Purple, where it just like, it's like and I'm like, yo, this real, and I think also because I feel like I picked the proper ending. I felt bad, but I felt like it was the proper ending.
Which one did you choose? Spoilers.
Team Virgil. I feel like,
okay,
yeah, because I feel like the other option was irresponsible. Once you got the grasp of the story, I feel like I was like, God, I was like, man, this girl's the villain. I feel like
yeah, it's in this. I like the story. I really do. I do like the story. I think it's just it's this master class of storytelling. It's a good story. I'm not gonna go that far, but the story is pretty good. It's relatable.
My bad. I said Virgil. It's Verso. My bad, guys.
Yeah, Verso. There were times like you know, the story did keep me, going and not guessing, but wanting to know what's about to happen next. But there was a point to where I was like, okay, I kind of know what's about to happen. Like I was guessing in spoilers. I was guessing before it even happened that I was wrong. I thought Verso was Mael's father. But that, of course that didn't happen, but towards the end it was like kind of getting predictable at points, but the story is good. The graphics are okay, if you ask me, but yeah, it's a good game. It is a game that everybody in real life has dealt with, and not in the video game form of how they told it, but everybody has dealt with grief at some point in time, and I guess that's what I really like about it, is that it was relatable. Not the twist that the mom is, let me know if I'm wrong, but the twist that the mom was the paintress and she was painting these other dimensions to try to find. Well, now was she trying to find Verso, or was she just like? Because that part I don't get. So she was painting other universes, right? But what was the point of that?
It was to escape the situation that happened, right? So they had they you know how they get sensitive with spoilers, right?
Yeah, spoilers.
So there was a fire, and there was actually a tragedy that struck.
Yeah,
we knew that the one got her, she her face burned up. So, and she, that's why that's who's her, right? So she had her, obviously the alternative version of her, like, and then this entire time, he actually, perished, but we know that. So. That's pretty much what it was. They didn't want to deal with the grief. So they would go into these alternative like worlds that they painted where everybody could be happy, and all that stuff that happened wasn't actually happened. But while they were doing that, they were spending too much time in there, and it was actually hurting them in their actual real life. And they were getting
So then, what was the point of
wiping people out?
Yeah, right. What's the point of that?
I have to like sit back and like do some more research. I might have missed that, but I think that was more so for them to I don't know. I think it was just something to create to keep like a universe going. You know what I mean? Because you can because when you think about it, I didn't understand that once. I was like, well, if this was all just them painting, why did they need to do that, right? Because it just made us care and worry about all these people that didn't actually even matter. They were like, I definitely have to like look in and like get more details on what was the connecting, like for them to like to keep doing that. And if it
I'm with you on that.
So that was the thing, but when everything started to fall into place, it was just like, yo. But no, man, I think it's one of the. I felt it's easily. I can say easily. It was my favorite game of the generation. And not that I don't like any of the games. Like, I like there's a lot of games I like, but the games that people tried to crown like previously, you know, like the Cyberpunks, the Elden Rings, the Baldur's Gate. Nah, I mean, like I couldn't get jiggy with those games, and I really couldn't. Even I beat Elden Ring, I like it, but I was like, I don't personally think Elden Ring is better than Sekiro or Bloodborne, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Obviously, some more popular of the two, but I don't think the game improved over any of those games since, you know, they started making games. But
Cyberpunk, I encourage you to play that.
Now, Cyberpunk, I know you want to hear something crazy. I feel like I reinstall Cyberpunk like once every 6 months and never get through. I have to, man.
Go ahead. Cyberpunk is great. But yeah, Expedition 33, it is a good game, and I really did like the story. I even like the you know, I picked Verso's ending. I like you, it just felt like the more natural ending, with their, you know, everybody coming to peace with it. So I thought that was good. However, I did like I guess you call it the Mael ending, to where it the way I summed it up was just like, it's just like the cycle of grief starting all over again, you know. And I thought that was, I like that one too, because like I said, it's like both endings are super relatable. And yeah, I think the ending was well done. But game of the generation,
game of the year,
game of the year. Yeah, of course, yes, it's the front runner. Kind of funny because, you know, Death Stranding 2 might have something to say about
Death
that.
Stranding 2 locks in the nomination for sure. Right. I don't think, but the thing is, right, I don't know how. Maybe I gotta seek out opinions or reviews, but I don't know if Death Stranding 2 is a. I don't like the concept of Death Stranding in general. Like, so my thing is, like, is it more of a like an action game? Like, how does it get better? You know what I mean?
That's the sentiment that I've watched some reviews and things, that there's a lot more action. That was one, like, a big complaint in the first game, but like I said, if you, once you understand Death Stranding, you kind of understand why there isn't a lot of action in the first one. But yeah, so there's a lot of action in the second one. Of course, it looks phenomenal. I was like, whoa, especially like that opening scene. I know he's just walking on mountains and stuff like that, but I was kind of taken back. I was like, whoa, that's really impressive, and especially it's running at 60 frames, and I'm like, wow. But Claire is definitely the front runner. Death Stranding 2 is going to be there. But the thing is, I don't know if there's going to be upcoming games that release this year that's going to knock off or that's going to have that impact that Expedition 33 has.
Yeah, so I got three games that are there, and these aren't like my affair, but I think there's 3 locks so far. It's Claire Obscure, Kojima's game, Death Stranding 2, and what's the Split Fiction. I think those are the 3.
Okay, yeah, I haven't played.
I think they're gonna, if Donkey Kong scores anything above an 86, it'll get it. 85 or better, I think it'll get the nomination for Nintendo, and then that leaves 2 more.
Like, you got games like Mafia, but Mafia is giving me all types of Mind's Eye vibes right now.
Don't say that. Mafia.
I say that because they are not showing a good length of gameplay. It's just like these
story beats, right?
these docu-series where they show snippets of gameplay, just like Mind's Eye. Mind's Eye would just show like snippets of gameplay. I'm like, and this game I believe comes out in like 2 months.
Yeah,
I think it comes out in August.
Yeah.
So I'm like, why are y'all not showing? At least give me like a good 10 minutes of uncut gameplay.
Yeah.
So that has me a bit worried. And then Borderlands 4, previews came out. I know people say that they really like it, but Borderlands has not really been like a game of the year contender in the past. So maybe Borderlands 2, but yeah, I'm just not seeing anything that's like in the upcoming that's like gonna top Expedition 33. I'm not seeing it right now. I mean, hopefully I'm wrong and surprised. So, but
yeah, I'm interested. I was surprised to learn that Mafia was only going to be like a $50 game. So that was like, did they reduce like the scope? Obviously, graphically it looks good, but like what is it? Like, what is it? Like the concern is that I don't think there's been like there's been 3. I know everybody's favorite Mafia game I think is 2. My favorite Mafia game is 3. But I've
Mine's is actually 1.
I beat 1 and I beat 3, and I couldn't get through 2. And I'm interested in this game because, like I said, I like 60% of their outing. But the thing is, I am curious. You know what I mean? You know, how limited is this game going to be? How linear is it going to be? You know what I mean? For it to be Take-Two and they only charging $50. It just seems like it's like a smaller package for them to be only charging $50 for it. I mean, I ain't mad if it's bigger than I expected, but like,
and I'm actually good with the linear type of gameplay. I'm actually good with that too, but they're just not showing anything.
Yeah,
so I'm just like,
you said Mind's Eye, man. Mind's Eye, I think is at like a 40. Yo, that you know, we all should have ran when the CEOs left like 2 weeks before the game launched.
Yeah, man, I wanted that game. And
I wanted that game to be dope. I really wanted
I did. Yeah,
it didn't have to be like it. Honestly, it didn't have to be an 80 for me to be interested. It had to give me a 70. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, because I was like, I can have fun with a 70 rated game, but bro, like the stuff that they,
like, I will get it like once it drops steep, like a $20, $15 or something like that. But yeah, I was looking forward to that game. Just the concept of the game, you know, more futuristic. But that again, they didn't show much, and then the previews was a hands-off preview, which was weird, but
yeah.
Whatever. Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, they had everything to make it for this to be like it sucks. Because like, you know, I just sometimes I want to get like, you know, that nice action, you know, GTA. Now I want to call it GTA, but like just that action game where you just like a third person action adventure game. You get to drive, you get your mission, just something of like a decent quality. And they had things like graphics working, you know what I mean? I wanted that it was looking good. It caught my interest. You know, it's crazy. They went all in with marketing. Like I saw a commercial for this game, like every time I was on like YouTube or like, and I would like when I would see the commercials, I was like, oh, I didn't realize this is an actual game coming out. Cause they treated it like the movies, like a movie trailers. It's a damn shame, that it didn't, live up to any sort of like hype. You know, I think what happens is people there's this bad like assumption that we get when they assign names like oh, this person's from Rockstar, or this person co-created GTA, or this person created this game, and then there's this unnecessary anticipation that goes into their game, and it's a complete dud. There's a lot of people in the industry like right now that's like literally like pretty much keep getting employed for something they did 10 years ago and they've never delivered. Like I think of Jade Raymond. What's that girl? The other one, the one that wrote Uncharted like 2 or 1. Amy Hennig.
Yeah.
There's a lot of these people that they just they go, and I was like, yo, what did they ship in the last 7 years? But it happens. I'm gonna give a quick shout out to Verge Brizzle, man. Verge Base Brizzle, $2 super chat. He said, "Let's effing go." Or LT, let's LT effing G, let's go. My bad. LT effing G, let's go. Yeah. So we got somebody that remembers the podcast.
So. I tell you, people, like I said, a couple folk was asking about it, but
yeah,
we here, baby, we here.
Definitely.
Speaking of the current state of gaming as a title, you the best spot, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I still keep up with Weapon Wheel, and I still watch Weapon Wheel and whatnot. And when it comes to the Xbox portions of the topics,
yep.
I feel like you're not giving your, how can I say this? It's like your raw, unfiltered opinions about Xbox. So I'm going to ask you here, we had the Xbox showcase, Xbox games are now, well, not now, but they're officially a third-party publisher,
yep.
What, your unedited, raw, what is your state of mind when it comes to Xbox?
Honestly, I just feel like it's a failure, a failed brand, and it hurts to say that because I feel like this time of Xbox, I've had my most fun on Xbox, now, because I feel like their release cadence is great. I think Game Pass is great. I've been consuming a lot of games, so it's like they're finally at that point where you're never gonna hear me complain about them in games anymore. Like they've been dropping games. It's just that Correct. They get to that point, and as a fan, it's like it's so bittersweet. It's so bittersweet. It's like imagine this, right? This is how it feels to me. It's like you win $1 million, right? Or big, like you win $1 million, right? You finally wealthy and got to work, but in the process, you lost both your arms. So it's like, what the fuck? Well, now what? You can't, you're not going to be able to enjoy it. Yeah, you can't even touch it. You can't enjoy it the way you would if you were a full able body. You know what I mean? It's you know what I mean? It's like when people they get into these things and they win lawsuits to get a lot of this money, but they're fucked up. They're they can't actually do anything with it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's just that's how I feel about it. It's wow. Y'all did, at that moment, y'all gonna keep announcing all these bangers and stuff like that. But as a fan of Xbox, it's not impactful. So the showcase, right? It wasn't a bad showcase, but it just enjoyed it. It just wasn't impactful. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean anything. If we watch this showcase, right? Think about it. Think about this, right? Same exact showcase. The same exact showcase, and Xbox was still a competitor to PlayStation and still believed in consoles and exclusives. It would feel a lot different. It would be a lot different, and people, to the point, I feel like PlayStation fans would be different to the point where, I think if Xbox stuck to their guns, they would be in a position where people would actually have to start picking up their console or buying PCs. When you start considering what they did, imagine if they held on to Oblivion and if they, obviously they in Ninja Gaiden, right? When they did that, they're publishing the game. That doesn't have to be multiplied. They're the publisher. Yeah. You know what I mean? So imagine if they did that. These were deals they were making prior to this bullshit they did. That Ninja Gaiden was in the works for 7 years. We just never knew about it. So they strike a deal for let's say Expedition, right? if Xbox still cares about consoles and stuff like that, that's probably a timed exclusive. Versus, so a lot of this stuff would be a lot more impactful if they were a proper competitor to PlayStation and Nintendo. Like they would have literally like yo, I probably have to got to get an Xbox this time. Like, you know what I mean? I feel like when you consider their last 3 showcases that they had, they've been bangers. But now as an Xbox fan, I feel like these showcases are not as impactful and I'm less hyped for them. I'm going to enjoy the games that they show and come out, but I don't think there's going to be a showcase that Xbox does that's going to make me go, or it's going to be a reveal and I'm going to be like, yo. Like, no, it's just like, okay. You know what I mean?
Damn.
Great. So I'm disappointed because what it does is it's like, you know, it destroyed. I'm gonna tell you a couple. I'm gonna keep it real with you. What Xbox did. What Xbox did was great for Xbox itself and Microsoft because they're in a situation where they're the #1 publisher and they can, you know, make money. They can have constant releases. You know, they could release 15 games in a year, and 5 of them are going to pop off to carry the other 10, essentially, right? They're a real competitor to, like, you know, EA and Ubisoft and 2K, and they're where they want to be. But I feel like Xbox doing what they did killed the fandom in a culture, and it also killed content creation, like in the gaming space. You got to think about a lot of these people that built their channels. What's the point of having a PlayStation channel if there's no Xbox? What are you going to talk about? You know what I mean?
You talk about what's happening on the platform.
They ain't doing that, bro. They're not doing that. And you got to think about people like me. I came, like, you know, Xbox inspired my channel. I went, you know, I went for the, you know, the underdog. So it's like you got these podcasts, like you get these personalities, and it's like it's like, what's the point? Nobody care what they got to say.
Well, okay, so is it for the love of gaming or for the love of the console war?
It's both. I love gaming, but the thing is, you gotta have a team, right? Here's the thing. I love Xbox gaming. I love gaming on Xbox. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like gaming as a hobby, but the thing is that there's things that Xbox brought to gaming that I just enjoy, and I think that I can't just I don't love gaming to play games on an iPhone, right? To just start playing video games on Apple. I don't love gaming to just, you know, just pick up anything and just start playing. Like, no, I like, you know, it's the ecosystem, it's the platform. I don't know, man. It's fanboying. The console war was obviously a big part of that. And I feel like taking that away, I think, is problematic. Now it's just very like boring. It's very boring.
Even on Twitter, are there no console? I mean, are there no
on X? They're still your usual suspects. But the thing is, it's like nobody cares what they gotta say no more. Ain't nothing. Like, nobody's gonna engage. Nobody's gonna argue with you. You know what I mean? What's the point? Like. In some places they can go ahead and there's nothing to argue. They're getting the games. They're getting Xbox games. So what do you can't call those games trash now. Now they have to upbring them. Oh, can't believe, it looks so great on PlayStation. Oh, like, you know what I mean? They have to now praise the game. They have to now buy the game. You know what I mean? Now that it's going to their platform, they're buying it and they're shelling out, you know, $60, $70, and $80 for these games and whatnot. And then Xbox fans have to resort to, well, I get it free on Game Pass. It's just not. It's not the same, bro.
Seeing Gears on PlayStation, man. How did, like, Forza? Okay, Forza is a staple, but Gears is like, you know, what kind of made Xbox popping, especially on the 360. So seeing Gears on PlayStation, man. How much of that hurt you? Hurt your spirit?
The problem is like, so they're done breaking, like, because nothing's off. There's nothing off the table, right? So what happened was it started with Forza Horizon 5 that really, see, I didn't care when it was these Bethesda games or these games that probably were in development for PlayStation. It's when the core games start to go. So Forza Horizon 5 was really the problem. And then when Forza Horizon, remember, that's the big three: Halo, Gears, and Forza. Like you put Forza over there, and Forza's, when you think about it, is of the latter generation, it's been the most successful. Right. Halo's heyday was the OG Xbox and 360. Gears heyday is Xbox 360. Forza has carried the Xbox One / Xbox Series gen. So that kind of did it. And then when Gears finally, I guess I didn't care. I cared less about Gears is because it was a remake of a remaster of a remaster. And the game doesn't need to, because the game only exists because they have to put it on PlayStation. Otherwise, this is a simple update to the Xbox One version. I don't know why it doesn't make sense. So it's like I get ticked off. It's like, all right, so you guys are gonna go through this release only because you need to release it on PlayStation. So it was like, whatever. Let's see. Hopefully, PlayStation fans buy it and they revive the multiplayer. But what it does is, like, Gears E-Day is the big game, and all it did was like pretty much assure like that game is going to be multi-plat. So I think, but by the time that releases, they would have put the whole entire library on PlayStation. So I learned to take Microsoft for whenever Microsoft, they say they're not doing something, believe they're doing exactly that, if not more. And when they say they're doing something, believe they're not going to do it. They've been very consistent with that. Phil Spencer said 4 games, and they went and said, no, we went from 4 games to all games, catalog. The whole entire catalog. They went from like, you gotta think about it. Remember, Project Scorpio was supposed to be high fidelity VR. They ain't ship it with no damn VR. Like, I got to think about when they start doing this shit.
Well, now they got the
now they got Meta and stuff like that. Yeah, they're putting their name on everything else because they're bowing out of the one way or another. Go ahead.
Does that hit the same, like when they're just branding already existing?
No.
Things like with the ROG Ally X,
for it to really mean anything, the Xbox. So I understand what Xbox wants to do and trying to do, and I see it, but it's not the same. What it needs to be is the Xbox experience we get when we turn on our Xbox Series X, right? That has to be the experience everywhere. That's the, like, when you all right, Xbox app, that is it. That my entire Xbox experience. If they are able to do that, then I don't need to buy designated Xbox, and I can actually stick with any of those other devices, and or whichever device I play. At that point, it would for me, it would just be PC. At that point, it would just be a PC.
You did say though that you were getting the Ally X though, right?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I know, like, again, it's not because, like, I had a regular ROG Ally. It's just that I needed to make some money, so I got rid of it but this one now has the designated Xbox button. It has this new UI or this interface that's supposed to be centered around Xbox and gaming. So I want to see what that's about. And that will give me an idea of what all these other devices that's going to be running the Xbox will be. But, until they get there, like, these things don't mean really anything. And it's a form of relevancy. I don't know what Microsoft is doing or what they want to do or why they're doing it. But what we do know is Microsoft. We wanted Microsoft to do all these things. We wanted them to buy ABK. We wanted them to buy all these studios to better compete with PlayStation. But in turn, what they did is they bought all these studios. They didn't sell enough Xboxes for these games really to sell. They tried to push everybody into Game Pass, but people realized, hey, we don't want to save money. We don't know what value is, so we're not going to subscribe to Game Pass. So now they capped out at Game Pass, so only Xbox console players are the ones subscribing to Game Pass, and they're capped out because they're not selling Xboxes at a high rate. Now all these studios that they bought, they can't run their businesses because they're splitting $20 Game Pass subscriptions. So now that forces them to close the studios down, or we got to either sell some consoles so we can sell these Game Pass subscriptions, or we actually have to release like a regular publisher and make money from everyone so these studios can rock a business. So now they're forced to go multi-plat because there's just not enough people in Game Pass. There's not enough Xbox consoles sold or in people's homes. So you have to go everywhere. And then now you have to start downside. It's literally imploding. It's imploding. So it sucks. I hate it, but that's the reality.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of I hear what you're saying, and I agree with a lot, but I'm actually kind of on the opposite side.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I actually like that because to me it feels like everybody is about to have their own lane in a way. Like, okay, you got Nintendo, their lane is handheld, right? Well, PlayStation, they're in the console lane, but so it just feels like that is going to be to them. And I think Xbox is like they're carving out their own lane with trying to do a little bit of everything. Like they like you said, they're the biggest publisher. They got Call of Duty, so they're going to make money. You know, their games are going to sell. They're coming out with some pretty good games.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, in my opinion, and I guess sort of it kind of feels like they're going to be what's the saying? Jack of all trades, master of none. Yeah,
yeah.
It kind of feels like they're going that route, but I don't know. I like this path that they're.
What do you like about it, though? I don't get it.
I like that they are, like I said, I like that they are trying to. Okay, so they can't compete with Sony. All right, and
yep.
I'm sorry to break it to Xbox fans, they never could compete with Sony. But so okay, it took them 25 years to figure that out. All right, that long time, but okay. So now they're like, okay, we can't compete with Sony. They were our main competitor. We definitely can't compete with Nintendo, but so let's just do our own thing, right? We bought up all these studios. We got all the games now. We got all the big games, big names, big studios, all the big well, not all of them, but prominent third-party studios. So, let's just do our own thing. You know what I mean? Let's, I think that I hope it works out for them. I'll just put like that. I hope it works out for them.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully it does, but like,
for the console war, yeah, I'm sorry, Xbox fans, it's over. But
I don't know how long ago I said I think I said Apple should buy Xbox or Facebook. Yeah, people hated my guts for that, but I was like, they better sell them now because like when Microsoft is sticking with them, Microsoft is going to make it like something we don't want. I mean, for for console gaming, you really have to be kind of all in on it. You know what I mean? And you need to.
But they're making a next console. Though.
Yeah, I'm not worried that they're going to make consoles, right? They're going to make but the thing is that I don't trust them. Not that I feel like they're going to make a console. They make it. It's going to. I think it's going to be a good console, and I'm probably going to buy it. But because Microsoft, the way they move, I feel like they're doing all this shit just to not make one.
Just to make it.
Yeah, to not make. They say they're making one, but I don't believe they're actually going to do it. I'm not going to believe it until I actually see it shipped. Like I don't believe. I think it doesn't make sense, right? it would make sense if their software isn't ready, right? But the thing is like you partnering with all these people with Asus, with Meta, you're trying to get Xbox branding on everything. They're trying to flood the market with Xbox branding so that the Xbox consoles that they sell, I don't know. Newsflash, I haven't seen an Xbox in the store because they stopped shipping them. By the way,
oh, have they?
Really? I haven't seen. I've gone to Target, Best Buy, GameStop. I don't see them in the stores. I see controllers. I see third-party controllers. I see game cards. I see accessories. I don't see Xboxes. I haven't seen an Xbox since they raised the price.
That's right. They did do that, didn't they? Oh, yeah. I forgot all about that.
Yeah. So my thing is they're trying to stay, relevant, which is stupid because they forget they have this thing called Game Pass. They need subscribers, and you're one-to-one. You're gonna only sell a subscriber with an Xbox console by default, because in order for them to get online, they got to get a Game Pass account.
Let me ask you this. Be honest too. Was Xbox? Was Game Pass a mistake? Was it a damn if you do, damn if you don't type of situation?
I think yes, it was, and not yes, it was because the thing is, I love Game Pass, and I will as a consumer, I would want a Game Pass. I always would want a Game Pass, but it was a mistake because nobody could predict how stupid gamers could be. Like when it comes to these is that stupid? We can give them like $10 a month. That's not what? They underestimated how stupid some people are.
Yes,
that. So when you consider that, when you think about that, right? Think about this. Before there was a Game Pass, all we had, we had Apple Music, we had Spotify, we had Netflix. So tossing out a gaming subscription like that, it's almost like a no-brainer. It's foolproof, you would think, right? But turns out it wasn't. So once they did that, it's hard to pull away, especially once you start hitting those numbers. The more subscriptions they got, the harder it is to to cancel. So the harder it is to move away. And Microsoft is known they'll drop shit in a minute, bro. It sucks the way they do. Remember, we all jumped the Mixer. They shut that shit down, told us to go to Facebook. I'm like, what? Yeah, think about it. That's what where they tell us to go. Meta. Yeah. They're telling us to go to Asus. And now PlayStation, bro, I'm afraid. So yeah, Game Pass was a mistake in that sense. Because the thing is that they didn't think people wouldn't want to subscribe to a game and they will continue to pay $60, $70, and $80 a la carte instead of just paying for games monthly at $15 a month and get as many games as you like.
So crazy though that what's so crazy is that, and I don't know how, this is probably not true for Nintendo, but for PlayStation, it's like the majority of games that they sell are digital. They're not physical. And I would assume that's the same with Xbox, right?
Oh, Xbox is more digital than PlayStation. I think Xbox digital stuff, it literally has to be in 90 percentile.
Yeah. So the fact that the sentiment of Game Pass is that you don't own your games or you rent your games, right? But wouldn't that be the same sentiment for just buying digital to begin with, buying digital anyway?
Yeah, but people don't look at it that way. The thing is, they see that they're buying it is theirs. But I don't think people have a sense of ownership. They're not looking at it that way. When you're looking, it's easier to look at that, to understand that in a subscription, because people have run out of subscriptions before. People have lapsed on a Netflix bill or Apple Music bill and realize, damn, I can't listen to the shit because I didn't pay the bill. I got to turn on auto renewal or I have to re-sign up. You know what I mean? So that's where it's more relevant. When you buy something, you just expect to have it. Now, when you don't, that's when the uproar starts to to tick. So it doesn't resonate with people the same way a subscription does.
Well, damn, man.
But yeah, Game Pass was a
mistake.
Was a mistake because they just people didn't buy in. It's not a mistake to the point where, because 9 times 10 they say, give me this idea of Game Pass, I'm always gonna go for it. But in hindsight, yeah, it's a mistake. My thing is, with no Game Pass, they were trying to do something like, the thing is that they weren't the thing is, it just still also goes back to Microsoft, right? You know, they pivoted to, they went to Game Pass when they couldn't beat out, you know, PlayStation. They started losing in the NPDs, and games would sell better on PlayStation because there were more PlayStation customers. So what they did was try to maximize the customer base and try to kind of grow that way. They damn, I lost my train of thought.
Did you think game?
Go ahead.
Oh,
no, I remember what I was gonna say though.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, ask your question because I don't think it even matters no more. But go ahead.
Well, because I was gonna say, do you think? Because I was just thinking, like, okay, and I mean, I guess this correlates somewhat, but maybe some people don't think it's the same. But right, you pay for Spotify. Like, what is it about game? Like, because you pay for Spotify, like, pay for Apple Music, and all that is digital. What is it about Game Pass and what is it? Is it the price of? Because I don't know how much Spotify was. It $5? Apple Music $5 or something like that. So is it the price of Game Pass? It's just like,
no,
people
it's
just
because
like,
there's this perception of there's this bad perception that, like, there's 3 billion gamers. They're not 3 billion gamers. Those iPhone people aren't gamers. That's not typical gaming. You know what I mean? That's not your subscription gamers. Those are like passing time, waiting for the bus, waiting in between time at the doctor's office, just doing. They're not gamers. Those are not gamers. Those are people that just looking for. Those are bored people. They're bored. And so gaming, even though gaming is big, it's big, but you got to think about the consumption of, like, music and television, right? Music is, you can listen to music at any, you're not fighting for time for music, right? Music, you listen to music while doing a bunch of other stuff. You're listening to music while driving, while in your car, while walking, while exercising. And you can consume, think about how much music you can consume in 1 hour, right? You can, like, you know what I mean? Music isn't, it doesn't take you anything to consume music. Movies, Netflix, stuff like that. Binging shows, like, people could sit down for, you know, a couple hours and binge, like, you know, a series or something like that. People use it to replace cable. Television is still, you know, big, so there's a mass market for Netflix and Hulu and all this stuff, because that is replacing TV. Now, video games is something that we done on our TV, another option that requires interaction. You know what I mean? We can't play video games as long as we watch TV, or as much as we consume, like, music. You know what I mean? They, like, some of us can, but the mass market can't. You know what I mean? So a lot of people are, you know, buy consoles. A lot of people buy Grand Theft Auto. A lot of people buy Madden and stuff like that. But when you think about it, the market, it doesn't perfectly, you know, transcend for what happens to music and for what happens with movies. And I think it's that interaction, and what these big corporates see, they counting everybody that's picking up an Android, everybody that's picking up an iPhone and playing fucking Candy Crush and, you know, Temple Run and all this other stuff like that aren't really video. They're not video games in the sense of what we know as video games, and they're trying to merge them all together and count them in this pool. And when you think about, when you look at that many people, you can say, yeah, this should just naturally work for gaming too. But no, it's like, you know, gaming has its place, but I would never know why. You would think, I couldn't tell you why it would fail. But the thing is also, though, Microsoft is, when it comes to Xbox, they're horrible at marketing. They had a few good runs, right? A few good short stints where they did something like, oh, you're actually marketing. But overall, they didn't help themselves sell Xboxes. They didn't help themselves sell games. Remember, I used to make videos of like, why isn't this game being advertised? Why isn't this thing being like, marketed? Where's the promotion? You know what I mean? Like they didn't do traditional marketing that, they weren't at Super Bowls. They weren't at like, big playoff events or big TV events where a lot of people are tuning in. They weren't utilizing all that money that they got to potentially sell a console or potentially sell Game Pass in, and they would talk up Game Pass, but Game Pass did not have the level of marketing it need. Like for example, like freaking think about this. Prime Day is in a couple weeks, right? Or like and I've seen that LeBron James Prime Day commercial like 30 times. And that's right. Only for something that's going to take place for like a 48-hour period. Really, like think about it. They're selling something that's essentially evergreen. What Amazon is selling is something like, hey, Prime Day. It happens every year, right? Prime Day, and I've already seen more marketing than I've ever for Prime Day than I ever seen for Game Pass or Xbox. Something that should honestly just be there at that point. You know what I mean? So,
I was gonna say, like it seems like there's some kind of disconnect because every time like a Phil Spencer or Sarah Bond, every time they have like an interview or they do some video announcing something, it always gets a lot of traction. Yeah. Like there's always videos made on it. I still watch Rand Outdoor. I still watch his videos, and like I said, yeah, there's just like always traction when it comes to an interview or when it comes to a video, like the past video that they put out about talking about their next hardware and all that stuff. But then when things release, it doesn't seem like it doesn't something is not connecting because it doesn't seem like people are like I don't know interested or
it's weird. Like it's crazy when you consider. You're right about that. I always wondered this too because like they get a lot of media coverage, right? A lot of people follow Xbox. There's a lot of people, reporting on Xbox, doing videos on Xbox. Journalists every time they put out something, or they get enough of like the general coverage, but it does not translate into popularity in the general public.
There we go.
When it's time to buy, you know what I mean? When it's time to buy, it just never translate. It's that pop culture effect it doesn't have. And yeah, that's I don't know, man. It's weird.
That's weird. I seen a question in the chat. He said from Verge Brizzle. Shout out to you, homie. He asked me, how do I feel about PlayStation not having no games? I don't understand that sentiment. Let me back up here. I get what you're saying. They are not producing the quantity of games that they used to. However, and for some reason people don't people don't put this to mind. Like PlayStation for this generation since 2020 has had a Game of the Year winner or contender every year this generation. Every year. And they've had multiple contenders in what was that? 2020 like 2020 and or 20 and 2022 or something like that. So I get what you're saying, but I think it's a more of a quality over quantity type situation. Because they've had a Game of the Year winner and contender each year for since this generation started. So, and they will have one this year since the gen started. So, I don't know about them not having no games, but I get what you're trying to say. But
only thing I would say is, I mean, their output has been trash over the last. I can't say trash. When I say output, I'm not talking about the games that they actually release. It's their release cadence has been like bad. They've, when you think about it, right? So their last, the last time they go ahead.
Time out. How many games do people want them to produce a year? Like, come on.
They should be producing at least 3.
5 games a year?
They should be producing at least 3.
At least 3? Okay.
Yeah. Because you got to think about it, right? So I think, what was the year that Ragnarok and Forbidden West came out? That was 22?
20 or 21? 22 or 21. One of them years.
All right,
I think it was 21.
So they had a 20 and 20. Their launch lineup good. 2021 good. You know what I mean? 2022 good. And then something happened. 23. I think we only got Spider-Man. And then 24, you only got Astrobot. And then
Game of the Year winner, by the way.
Which
I mean, the most awarded platformer ever. But yeah.
And but the thing is that that's not like a game for like everyone. That's why you have to have multi. I mean, sure, it doesn't stop its popularity. You know what I mean? It does. I'm not discrediting it for getting Game of the Year, but the thing is like that was just one game that year that we felt like. I personally felt like they were just like, all right, we're gonna give everything to Sony for that one game. And now this year they're getting stuff. I mean, it just like everything's happening like right now, and I think you get Death Stranding. I don't know if you can count it. I mean, but the first game is now like a full blown multiplayer, right?
That's right.
So I don't know what that means for Death Stranding 2. It's not their game. It's just first to that platform, and then Ghost of Yote is that's really their actual an actual first party game for them, because I think does Flint and Blade Zero come out this year? And then Lost Souls aside, these are like
Lost Souls aside is something that they partner with, which is coming out this year. Phantom Blade, I'm not sure if it's this year or early next year. But
from a first party standpoint, we know if they count Death Stranding 2 as first party, all right, cool. But we know Ghost of Yote for sure. That's his PlayStation Studio. That's the only game, and that's October. So it's just like compared to what they were doing just a few short years ago, and this what makes me slap my knee about Xbox. It's like, bro, y'all could have been curb stopping the hell out of them.
Yeah. I mean, they could. Yeah, they definitely could have put a big dent. I mean, I get it that their output isn't what it used to be. Live service really fucked them over with their.
Was Concord this year or was that last year?
That was last year, I believe. Was it this year? Hold on, was it this year?
Remember, it was only 12 days of life.
That's right. I think it was 2024. Yeah, it was last year. But my only thing, so with PlayStation, like okay, I haven't been on PlayStation in about a year now, since moving over to PC. And yeah, I mean there hasn't really been a game that has demanded me to turn on my PlayStation again. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, man. Like I said, the live service really, really effed things up. And then them announcing games way too early, like Wolverine, where something's not right over there.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I keep forgetting about that game, bro.
Yeah, I think everybody's about to forget about it. And then they, the Knights of the Old Republic remake, like it's like they announce stuff and aren't seeing the light of day. But
and then the whole Marathon was supposed to come out this year. That was supposed to be first party.
Yeah,
and that got
being
delayed.
Yeah.
So I mean,
definitely, yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think, bro. But what do you think of like? All right, the state of, so we've had some good games, but what are your thoughts though on the state of gaming and where we're at? Is gaming in a good place? Like, what do you see of it today? Because I don't think it's the same. It's just like it seems drastically different just than what we were the last time we were doing podcasts, bro.
It's not hitting the same. It's like there are good games coming out, but I mean, this is me excluding Expedition 33. There, to me, are no generation defining games this generation. I guess, I mean, a big part of that is because a lot of games that came out this year are cross gen, but even still though, but the games that are not, like, nothing, like, it's this generation has not been good. I'm gonna say for anybody really. It just hasn't. It's just not hitting. But the thing is, I don't know why though. Like,
that's tough. That's crazy. Yeah, because when you think about it, it's like, all right, if we were judging just from a content perspective, right? You know, obviously games naturally improve, but like, what is it? What are we missing? Like,
yeah, something. It's that you're right. It's like something. It's like these devs are not pouring something into these games to make them like some all-time great game. Again, excluding what people feel about Expedition 33, but majority of these games is just. Now, and did you see that? I don't know if it was a TikTok or a YouTube short about modern games. Something about how, what was it? How modern games aren't doing something, aren't like hitting the same as before, or something like that.
I think we touched on this on Weapon Wheel, but it was a clip that went viral a bit, right?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I think that he had a point. Like
they aren't. Yeah. Like a lot of old games are a lot better than what we're getting now, man.
No, I agree.
Games aren't completed. Games, it just sucks, man. Gaming kind of sucks right now, to be honest.
Question, you know, I do want to get because we've been going at it a little while. And I'm surprised we actually went this long, but I don't know if I talked to you when this if we I don't think we were podcasting when this happened, bro. What is your thoughts? Remember, hold on, because I remember, bro. Like, remember where I was like, bro, I was wanting to play the game Werewolf the Apocalypse. And I mentioned it was trash, but that publisher has stepped up.
Who was that publisher?
Nacon, right?
Okay.
So my thing is, your thoughts, man. Like, where were you? I don't know if you did it, but did you play RoboCop?
I love RoboCop. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like,
and I'm not even a big fan of like the movies. I've never seen. Matter of fact, I've never seen I've seen the newest RoboCop, but the old school. But the old school ones, I've never seen it. But I love RoboCop.
Yeah, that game, bro. See, that's why I was hoping for some shit like Mind's Eye, right? That's why I wanted. I was like, bro, give me. It don't got to be like a RoboCop was my shit. Like, I was just like, yo. I got jiggy with RoboCop, so like, and I'm looking forward to the standalone DLC. I was like, yep, I can do this again.
It was super dope. Yeah, but I don't know. I guess that's where people say that, you know, these AA games are, you know, doing something that these AAA games aren't. To like I said before, to a certain degree, I can understand that, but gaming right now, and it's so fun. Like, even on PC, like now that I'm on PC, you know, it's great to play these games at the highest fidelity, at the highest frame rate that my PC can do. But even like in the beginning, like when I first got my PC and started playing these, I was playing a bunch of old games, you know, just to see what it can do, whatever. But even the newer games, I was they run really well on here. But that honeymoon phase is well over. But I don't know. It's just like the heart, like the heart and soul, like
I
don't care
pod.
podcast. Yeah, like he said, it's just like they don't put passion in these games anymore, man. And like it's like they making these games, I guess, just to stay afloat, just to try to make money instead of actually giving us a great experience, and something to talk about, on forums or whatnot. You know what's so funny? Is that games like a game like The Last of Us and The Last of Us Part 2, man. That game, like The Last of Us Part 2, came out in 2020. But I promise you, man, you can, like, if anybody were to bring up that game, like, to this day, you can still have like a deep conversation about the game, whether you liked it or not. The love in that game, you could still have like this deep, passionate conversation about that game. And that was them. That's 5 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, games aren't coming out like that anymore. But and it don't look like it's gonna get any better either, in my opinion. Like, some of these games.
No, you're right. I agree. I mean, I still think there's some games obviously that I'm interested in, but it's like,
yeah, of course, yeah.
I don't know, man. It's I feel like we could do a lot better, but I think the state of gaming, like I said, it's I feel like right now, I feel like it's in dire need of some sort of like boost. And obviously, the Nintendo Switch 2 came out. I don't know if that's it. Grand Theft Auto was delayed till next May. I mean,
that hurt.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So it's like, what? Like, you know what I mean? I do think I need publishers to be more, not publishers, developers to be more, I'm not going to say creative, because there's a lot of creativity that they're doing. It's just that it's just not my energy. Like, I don't need any games to be like obscure or anything like that. I need games to be just like a jam. Like, give me your, like, I feel like they're not making enough of traditional games we used to get. And I feel like we used to have a lot more options back in the day, like in terms of like even to just the type of sports game we play, you know what I mean? I feel like every game or every genre had like a competitor, you know what I mean? Some people like Max Payne, I like Dead to Rights, and so on. It's lacking. And even like freaking Remedy with they just make this FC. Did you play that game?
I didn't. I know what you're talking about, though, but
it's like, bro,
I did see it got like it got 1 million players on it already, but I ain't play it.
Yeah, I mean, it better. It launched day and date in PlayStation Plus and Game Pass.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, man. Dre, man, this has been good getting back to this. I try my best to upkeep this, but I think we found Thursdays. I prefer obviously to start earlier. We kind of came late. I went to I was on my way home and saw like it was Food Truck Thursdays. I wanted to see if they had my favorite food truck there, and they did it. So I was like, all right, let me hurry up and get home. But no, Thursdays, around 8:00 Eastern. This is it should be a good timing. So good time to play to bring some things back. We'll see. Microsoft's supposed to have some more bad news this week, like a bunch of layoffs, maybe a studio closure. Who knows?
Y'all really don't. Yeah, hold on, they really don't care about that. I hate when this sentiment about this doom and gloom when people are getting laid off. Y'all don't really care about that. Y'all not about to send these folks money to keep them afloat. So,
they're gonna get a crazy severance package. Like some people, it's crazy. I'm gonna say this, and please, like somebody like Phil Spencer, right? He can't get laid off. You know why?
Why?
It's too expensive. He's been there so long.
Yeah,
they would have to like it's like it would be like cat and mouse. They would have to force him to resign, and he would have to force them to fire him, and nobody wants to do it. And I'm saying that he's in that position, but there's some people, you know what I mean? So I'm just saying, like, people get when people get laid off from these big companies like Microsoft, they get like these severance packages there, and they're pretty good. And it's the industry, you can go anywhere, right? You can go anywhere, but it's not like they're going in there and they're homeless and whatnot. So and these people are like, well off. It's Microsoft for crying. Now I'm not saying I'm not green lighting or like okaying this, you know what I mean? But I'm not going to make like when this news come out and when they finally make it official, I'm not going to be like, oh, boo hoo or anything like that. My thing is that if it leads to a studio closure, it's like, what the hell you buy any studios for, right? That's more so my reaction, because close a studio, that's a canceled game, that's a canceled IP, that's a delayed game. If you fire people, that's a delayed game, or that's a delayed expansion, or that's a delayed or that's a canceled game. That's the sentiment I'm looking at. And
who's supposed to be getting what studio is supposed to be closing?
No, somebody because they're supposed to be laying off a lot of people within the Xbox division. So when you think about it, Xbox is so big now and it's so vast that some of their studios aren't even all that big. So they can cover a large number of people, and that can wipe out a studio depending on if they're. You know what I mean? Okay. So there's some speculating and whatnot, but I don't know. I have no clue. And hopefully this restructuring, I don't know what it means, but I don't know. Microsoft has been, moving funny. They right now they're doing too much talking. They talking too much. You know what I mean? Every time they talk too much, it's like it something bad typically follows them. But
it's crazy because they producing. So
yeah, but they are producing. Crazy. Like you will never hear me like I have no issue with games Microsoft is releasing. Their games I've been enjoying, I've been playing them. The only thing I have an issue with regarding Xbox is that it's not the Xbox that I once knew and loved. So but that's it, man. Dre, man, thanks for being available. It's good speaking to you about games. You got me inspired. I might want to I don't know what game I'm gonna pick up. You know it's crazy.
Hold on. I want to recommend a game for you because you like Expedition, you like that the real time combat within the turn base. Pick up, and it should be cheap. It's an indie game, but it's a fantastic game. It's called Sea of Stars. It has that real time parrying combat. It's not like exactly like Expedition, but it has it. It has it. Great story, great characters, fantastic gameplay. It looks really good. It's like a kind of like a 2D sprite.
The 2D sprite. You know who played freaking Addict. Addict was on that game. Like hard.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So I should have access to it. So I'll
very
look
good
into
game.
The library.
Very good game.
Absolutely. Anything else you want to say before we got out of here?
Oh man, shit. I appreciate the love. I know some people some people was wanting this to come back, and hopefully we're here to stay. But life happens, things happen. But appreciate those who came out, supported, and man, it's good of course, good talking to my boy Smooth, and it's been a long time, man. It's been a long time, but it was good talking to you, and again, appreciate everybody coming out.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. Shout out to Verge, Brizzo, Aaron Johnson, Baltimore's MVP, all you who came through. We did no promotion. I didn't do anything on X or anything to tell us we even come back. We kind of just went live and saw what happened. So appreciate you guys coming through, man. And Nike, thank you for reminding us. Immortals, Phoenix Rising, Alex PSX. We will see you guys next Thursday, man. You guys have a good night.
Hold on before we go. Is Xbox still the best box?
Yeah, it is still the best box. Xbox is the best box. I am the best bot. Good night or good morning if you're on the other side of the globe. Yeah, I mean, it's only the. I guess it is. It's weird saying it because it hurts every time I say it, but it's weird not saying it. So there's that.